So this reading from the prophet Isaiah uses the metaphor of kind of you might call it a diabolical parody of a feast. That is, that normally in a feast, the guests there are so joyful, and they're drinking all the wine, and they drain the cups, the big bowls. They don't have like these little glasses that we have. They would have like a bowl, and they're drinking the bowl, and into the bowl would be poured the wine, and you'd have the dregs, you'd have kind of the grape skins that would be at the bottom, and they're drinking, and they're drinking it so joyfully and fully. They don't even care that they're getting the dregs. They're just draining their bowls, and they come out of the party, and they're staggering around. Normally this would be at the occasion of like a wedding or some other great celebration. But in the prophetic condemnation of Israel, this image of joy and celebration is turned upside down, and it becomes, in a sense, a feast of despair, in which, in their suffering, they feel that it's like they're drinking suffering in, and in a sense, in their suffering and in their hopelessness, they are. In a sense, they've just been clobbered. They stagger. They're at their wits' end, and that this is the image that the word of the prophet Isaiah uses to describe Israel's state. That Israel is like somebody who is at a feast, but instead of drinking in joy, they've been drinking in sorrow and suffering, to the point where they're out of their right minds and they're staggering. And into this kind of diabolical parody of human celebration, into this, the Lord comes with saving mercy. And that's the image that, in extending the metaphor and working the metaphor, the word of the Lord through the prophet Isaiah. It says, Isaiah saying, it's as if what the Lord is saying, it's as if he's taking that bowl of wine, the wine of suffering, out of your hand, so you can sober up and be led home, right? In a sense that think of it like a celebration, like a wedding. The guests are so drunk they can't even get home. They kind of pass out there at the house where they're at, because nobody has to drive, right? So you just pass out. It's in the village. You're just down the block, really. So in a sense, the Israel has passed out from its sufferings in Babylon. And what the Lord is saying through the prophet is, I'm going to sober you up through covenant faithfulness. When you come to me and you worship me and you place your trust in me, that's going to sober you up. And then I will take you by the hand and lead you home. I'll take you to your house, and there we can begin again. And so if you come to this place, if you come to this morning prayer feeling like you've been drinking from the bowl of suffering rather than the bowl of joy, hear God's word to you that he, in his mercy and his love for you, he wants to sober you up from suffering. He wants to be able to give you the eyes to see clearly a path forward and to find your way home to him. And he himself, in his love, will take you by the hand and bring you to the home that is his peace and his love. It is a word of consolation, and it comes in language that's difficult for us to hear because as moderns, we have a hard time entering into this. But it's a profound word of consolation for all those who feel that they have lost their bearings in a strange place, and they just can't think their way home. They can't, you're staggering, and you can't get to where you need to be on your own strength. And so God says to you through the prophet Isaiah that he will lead you home. You can lean on him even as you stagger, and that his desire for you and his will for you is to have peace and to be brought to a home where you can drink from the bowl of joy instead. A reading from the prophet Isaiah. Rouse yourself, rouse yourself. Stand up, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk at the hand of the Lord the cup of his wrath, who have drunk to the dregs the bowl of staggering. There is no one to guide her among all the children she has borne. There is no one to take her by the hand among all the children she has brought up. These two things have befallen you. Who will grieve with you? Devastation and destruction, famine and sword. Who will comfort you? Your children have fainted. They lie at the head of every street like an antelope in a net. They are full of the wrath of the Lord, the rebuke of your God. Therefore hear this, you who are wounded, who are drunk, but not with wine. Thus says your sovereign, the Lord, your God, who pleads the cause of his people. See, I have taken from your hand the cup of staggering. You shall drink no more from the bowl of my wrath. And I will put it in the hand of your tormentors, who have said to you, bow down that we may walk on you. And you have made your back like the ground, and like the street for them to walk on. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.